Now it's between Personal Ensign and Gulch for the lead, and they've opened 5 on King Swan back into 3rd. Personal Ensign, the filly, on the outside, gets the lead. Gulch on the rail, remains very close in 2nd. They pass the 8th pole. It's Personal Ensign on the outside, still leading the way by a neck, and Gulch is 2nd. Now the filly gets clear by a length. It's Personal Ensign in front.
Wow, it's the 27-year anniversary of the great Personal Ensign's win against Boys in the 1988 Whitney 4 Hall of Fame trainer, Shug McGaughey, who joins us on the line right now. Shug, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk with us.
Well, good. Thanks for having me.
Does it seem like 27 years? I mean, one of the all-time greats, 13 for 13 in her career. Obviously, her final start, an unbelievable win in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, one of the all-time great races. Does it seem like 27 years?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem like yesterday, but it sure doesn't seem like 27 years. But I was a young trainer then, and that was a pretty exciting day for me.
What do you remember most about her? I mean, obviously, she was undefeated, one of the greatest mares ever to run, but is there a quirk she had or something about her personality or race that maybe you remember more than anything else about her?
Well, she didn't really have any quirks about her. I mean, she was a filly, and she was a bit masculine in that way. I mean, she was that's why she was good. She was aggressive, and she loved to train, and she went about her business the right way, and she did what I wanted her to do, and that's why she was 13 for 13. And that race was a big day in the Whitney because it rained earlier in the day, and I said I wasn't going to run her off track, but it rained so hard it just kind of rained on top of it, and then once you got through the top inch or so, it was kind of a fast track, and you were getting through to the base, and she handled it fine, and there was a lot of things, a lot of memories, I mean, disappointment when she got hurt when I was getting ready to bring her to the Breeders' Cup out, and I think in Hollywood. No, it was in Santa Anita. It was Santa Anita. And, but probably if we had run there, win or lose, she wouldn't have been 13 in a row. So after she got hurt, it was able to give her plenty of time. She never made her next start till September. And, we were kind of lively race then. The Breeders' Cup that year was late at Hollywood. And Mr. Phipps and myself, neither one really wanted to bring her out there that late. And, so she had about 6 or 7 months off before she ran again and came back in the Shuvie. And so, she was able to win. Shuvie was a grade 1 then. She was able to win a grade 1 coming back off that. But the most spectacular thing was the Breeders' Cup that day because I don't think she really handled the track. The field was deep with winning colors, and Goodbye Halo was 3rd. And it sure wasn't anything I did or anything that Randy did. It was something that she did, which that was a perfect example of a horse just putting her head down and wanting to go on and win. And luckily she was able to do that.
Well, your memory of 1988 seems like sounds to us like it was yesterday. Then you had a pretty good horse named Easy Goer who won the Whitney the following year in '89. Another one of the all-time greats, 9-time Grade 1 winner.
How about that distant McGaughey, Lucas, and Charlie Whittingham? That's all right, because Goodbye Halo was a pretty good mare. People don't remember her that well. She was a really good mare out here in Southern California.
All right, Shug, we're looking at
she was.
Oh, go ahead.
She won the Kentucky Oaks that year.
Yeah, she was really good. She got a little overshadowed by winning colors and Personal Ensign, but in any other year, she would have been very, very tough to beat.
All right, so you got Honor Code, who's the morning line favorite in this Saturday's Whitney, and I guess you're probably bored with it, so we'll just get out of the way here at the top. Everyone's talking about how devastating Honor Code was. 1 turn met mile, hasn't had as much success at 2 turns, but to me, it makes sense that you're giving it a shot, and boy, you're going to get a real test, aren't you? Because this is, Kurt and I were talking about maybe the strongest handicap race we've had so far this year. So you really know, you'll get a really good idea, won't you, after this race on Saturday as to whether or not Honor Code's as good at 2 turns as he is at 1. We know he's devastatingly good at 1 turn.
Well, I like to say the question's out whether they'll run 2 turns. He did win the Remsen, but that was kind of a funny race. They went 3/4 in 17, and so who knows whether they'll run or not. I mean, pedigree says he will.
Yep.
Look says he will. traveling wise says he will, but you know that's why we line them up and run them to see. But you know, this does come at a good time because if for some reason we are wrong, and he was one turn, you know, I could either bang him back in a hurry in the 4-go, which probably wouldn't happen, or you know, just wait for the Kelso Mile at Belmont on one of the Breeders' Cup preview days, and then use the Breeders' Cup Mile in Keeneland, which is going to be around 2 turns, but it won't be obviously won't be a 1 1/8. It'll be a mile or whatever. But so I think this is a good opportunity to give him a chance. You're right; it's a very deep field. It's kind of a allowance condition, so we have to carry all the weight, but so do some of the others. And you know, I mean, his training's been very good since the Met Mile, and you know, I think he's getting a little bit bored to where he probably does need to run. And so, you know, we're looking forward to Saturday, and you know, I'm looking forward to it, win or lose. And you know, as Wayne Lucas says, you can't be afraid to lose, but we're going in with the idea of winning, just like we did the Met Mile, and you know, they're going to know he's in there.
Shug, looking at his past performances, his last couple races, including the Met Mile, when the pace was blistering, he was way back early. But if you go back to his races early on in his career, he has shown the ability to stay a little closer. He does have a little bit of tactical speed. What are you looking for on Saturday? Does the big field play into how you're going to tell Javier to place him, or do you just let Javier roll out of there and see where he falls?
I think it depends on the pace. I mean, with Marino and Todd's horse, Liam's Lad, I think that, you know, there's probably going to be some pace. You know, it's not going to be blistering like it was in the Met Mile, but if it's not, you know, we'll be laying closer. But, you know, my idea, I'm not going to take him out of his game plan. I'm going to tell Javier, let him run his race. We got the inside post. Let's try to save some ground. Obviously, from where he's come from in a lot of his races, he's eaten plenty of dirt, so that ain't going to be a problem. And I don't think coming on, you know, if he wants to get him to the outside, you know, somewhere along the race, that's fine. But if we're hung down on the inside, we got a place to go, that's fine too. I don't think that'll be a problem. So I think really where he lays in the race is going to depend on what the pace is.
Shug, how rewarding is it for you? Obviously, you've trained so many great horses, but I mean, this is a horse who's had a lot of setbacks. He's only raced 8 times in his career, you know, and it's August of his 4-year-old campaign. To have this horse this primed, this ready at this time of year, after all he's been through, how rewarding is that for you as a trainer, one of the all-time greats?
Well, you know, I'm glad to have him. I was glad to, you know, to win the Met Mile. I never won that race before, and he was so dominating. It was, you know, it was thrilling for all of us, and you know, we're glad to have him in here on Saturday, and with a chance to win, as we all said, a very deep Whitney and a very prestigious, you know, handicap type of a race. And you know, obviously last year when he didn't come back as a 3-year-old, we were disappointed because, you know, after he won the Remsen going 1 1/8, I thought, you know, we've really got the nuts here, and you know, going into the Triple Crown, that, you know, maybe we'd have a chance again, but it didn't work out. And I've always been with the mindset that if it doesn't work out this day, that there's a race down the road to where it will work out. And obviously that happened with him, and we've got him here now, and you know, hopefully that his future's still in front of him, you know, with this and you know, with the Breeders' Cup, and you know, no telling. There's not been any talk about retiring him or anything like that. So, you know, hopefully if all things being equal, we'll get to run him again next year.
All right, well, if it's a big Saturday at Saratoga, we know that you're going to have a say in some of the races. Outside of just honor code, I like to speak for others. I'll speak for Kurt, too. I mean, if you grew up in racing when we did, I mean, Lure is automatically one of your all-time favorite turf horses. You were another unbelievably great horse that you trained. The Lure is run at Saratoga on Saturday. You have a horse named Reload going in that race. Very talented, ran some huge races last year on the sidelines, came back and looked great in an optional 80 win, first start in 2015, then ran 4th, I believe, in the Forbidden Apple. How is Reload doing for the Lure at Saratoga on Saturday?
Well, he's trained good. He shed his both front frogs in the Forbidden Apple. I was disappointed initially because, I thought he had the winner beat turn for home, and he just kind of backed out of it. I didn't know whether he bled or not, but we scoped him. He was clean. And then, he was kind of walking a little bit off, so his feet were a little bit tender. And, saw that he shed his frogs. We've hopefully taken care of that. And, I've gotten into him a little bit up here, and I think that he's trained well. And, I think he'll make a good account of himself. He like I say, he is a talented horse on the turf. His comeback race after that long of a layoff was as good as it gets. And, hopefully he'll be able to run that kind of race back here in the Lure on Saturday.
Matt touched on it about Lure, but I have a very clear memory of that horse too. And Matt's right, growing up in that era, he was such a star. You brought him out to the Breeders' Cup at San Anita, and I was out watching workouts that morning, and I think it's before they had the saddle towels with the horses' names on them for the Breeders' Cup. So I see this horse, I said to my buddy, who in the is that? And it was Lure. You talk about a striking animal in person, Shug. I mean, forget on a racetrack, but just the presence and the look of that horse. I remember it was 25 years ago.
He was a very, very good-looking horse, and he was very talented from day one. And, he showed up on the dirt for a while, and then he kind of wanted to be a turf horse after that. But he was. I remember when I ran him in Florida and the Breeders' Cup down there. We got him in the paddock. I mean, I'm always looking at a horse in the stall with a blanket on him or this or that. But I saw him in the paddock at Gulfstream that day, and I thought to myself, I said, my God, look at this horse. And and he had an inside post, and Mike rode him, and we both just said, let's just utilize what we got, and went from there. But and then he came out there, and that was the day they had the wreck, and Mike had sent him from the outside, and so we missed the sort of the jumble up going into the first turn. And, I remember when he drew the outside, they told me, some of the guys around there told me, what you're going to try to do is going to be awfully hard to do from out there. But, Mike used his head and sent him away from there and got good position, and he was able to win again.
I think he could have started in the parking lot. He would have been okay that day.
Shug, we appreciate the time. Right. Before I let you go, we've been talking about some of the all-time great horses, and you happen to train all of them. We're talking about Personal Ensign and Easy Goer and Lure. I think we need to ask you about American Pharoah. Your perspective, I think, would be a pretty interesting one about what he's doing right now, the times, the figures, and how it seems like he continues to improve as a horse who's not even raced 10 times in his career. What did you think of his performance in the Haskell a few days ago?
Well, I was very impressed. I thought he was a very deserving winner of the Triple Crown, and I was very impressed with his race and excited in his race in the Haskell, and looking forward to, hopefully he'll come here, and looking forward to him running here. But he's been a very exciting horse. His connections have handled it terrifically, and I think the public's really taken a grasp to it. And I think the Haskell was just sort of the crowning blow to see a very talented horse put on a display like that. Was sure a lot of fun. I'm sure for the fans that were at Monmouth, the fans who were watching on TV as I was, and I know it was awfully exciting for me.
All right, well, you have a pretty talented horse, an honor code going in the Whitney at Saratoga on Saturday, $1.25 million Grade 1 Whitney. Wish you the best of luck with honor code and all the horses you have running at Saratoga over the next several days. Thank you so much for coming on, Shug.
All right, well, thank you all for having me.
I mean, legend. I mean, right? What else? What other words do you use to describe
that story I told about Lure? I just remember saying to my buddy, "Well, he won't lose." I mean, and that's when I first was in the business, and I didn't know a whole heck of a lot. I don't know how much more I know now, but that horse had a presence, Matt, and I said, "Well, he won't lose." They could put him into 15 posts. It's not going to matter. That horse is just a superior animal. He was a really classy, charismatic type of horse, Lure.
Yeah, and honor code, we'll see how he does at 9 furlongs. To give you an idea of how good and deep the Whitney field is on Saturday, honor code installed as your morning line favorite, 3-1.
Yeah.
3-1 morning line favorite. So we thank Shug for joining us on the program.